Next up, with the Lost Realm bosses, is the second boss, the Dragon Priest. He shares many similarities and mechanics with the first boss, Dragon Warlock, but there are some new skills that he has that you will have to counter properly if your alliance has reached a wall on him in terms of progression. So he shares the exact same passive abilities as Dragon Warlock in Dragon Scale, Tenacious, and Scorn. The only thing you really want to keep in mind of this is Tenacious, because that will change potentially the best commanders for you to use. Control effects such as the Night King's active ability that is very good in the likes of Siege of Winterfell will do nothing here, and your priorities will very much just want to be straight up damage or straight up healing with your commander choices. You will once again, as soon as you pull the boss, split into two groups where you have one designated tank attack the boss first to get the boss's aggro, and then after he's gotten that, run behind the boss to turn him away from everyone, and all the damage dealers and all the healers will then sit behind the boss for the rest of the fight. And this will be because of the heavy shock ability, which all three Lost Realm bosses share. You can have instances where the visual effect of this doesn't show correctly. Like, you can see how it's intended to work here, where it's just a giant red cone, and it will take 10 seconds to fill up the circle, and then it will fire off. So your tank will want to move back behind the boss with all your damage dealers, and then after the cone goes off, you'll want them to run back to their initial positioning, so that the next time it casts, once again, only one person will have to move, rather than your entire alliance, because you're going to be losing damage uptime if more than just the tank have to move. That is a fairly simple and obvious mechanic. Giant red circle, move out of it. But the main damage source and difficulty of the Dragon Priest, realistically, is going to be his second ability, Briar Armor. When this triggers, the boss will gain a special effect, which will significantly increase his counterattack damage dealt to you when you attack him. It'll be obvious when it is active because of the green bubble around him, covered in thorns. As soon as you see that, you will want to click off attacking him with any marches you have that are attacking, stop all damage, and just wait until the effect ends. It will last 10 seconds, so you won't have to wait that long. But this will tend to be, if your alliance is struggling on this, the main difficulty with the fight, because the counterattack damage dealt through the skill does scale up to be very, very significant. And if you have a lot of people just continuously attacking into him, they will effectively kill themselves, or at best significantly reduce their damage output just by lowering the amount of troops they have to deal damage. And unless you have enough healers to compensate for that, that is where you're going to start to struggle and potentially find yourself not able to do enough damage to finish him off. So because of this effect, and the next one, I would advise having at least your third march as a healer march in logistics. That way you'll always be able to keep yourself topped off, and you won't be too reliant on other people to make sure that your marches stay alive. Finally, the third ability will be Permeating Poison. It's again just another circle that you'll have to move out of. It lasts for 10 seconds, and it will deal damage every second that anyone is stood inside of it. Because of the targeting nature of it, ideally, if possible, you'll have everyone behind the boss spread out in a semicircle behind him, just to minimize the amount of targets that can be hit at the same point. That is very elitist in trying to min-max though, and realistically probably won't be necessary. The main wall you will find on the stage is just staying alive. So if you're really struggling, make sure everyone has at least one healer march, and they keep all three of their marches popped off with both healing and resilience, and any excess heals you'll want to just keep channeling into that tank that stood having turned the boss to everyone else, because they will be taking the majority of damage throughout the fight.